Ready? And we're live! Woo-hoo-hoo! Welcome to the Rocket Fuel Expert Spotlight Show, where we have the beautiful, extraordinary Sensei Victoria Whitfield joining us. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about who she is and why you should definitely be watching this. But let's talk about Rocket Fuel first. What is Rocket Fuel? The Rocket Fuel community is a group of entrepreneurs who love to execute with excellence. And my objective is to utilize this community to connect you guys, to give you guys a platform so we all know who is doing good things, right? When we need it, right? And the Expert Spotlight is your opportunity to actually connect a little bit more with our members, right? To actually know what is their rocket fuel, how are they rocket fuel for businesses or for other people's lives. So with that being said, I learned this from you. Oh my God. We have Sensei Victoria Whitfield, who is the world's first business Reiki master. And she is just amazing at just redirecting energy, harnessing your energy. And actually, I asked her to come today to talk about how we can unleash our creative potential using some super cool, amazing, powerful, intuitive practices that she utilizes in her group and her primary business called the Visionary Shaman Circle. So thank you, Victoria, for coming.
My pleasure. Oh my goodness, goddess. Like, this has been quite some time in the making, and I am so excited to be here and share.
I am super excited to be here and share. So tell me, okay, I mentioned that you are the founder of the Visionary Shaman Circle, and I'm noticing that our names aren't showing. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
I don't quite know. I will fix that while you tell us about the Visionary Shaman Circle. How did you start this concept? What is it? I hope I piqued the interest of a lot of people, because this is some good stuff. So tell me, darling.
Oh, with pleasure, goddess. So the Visionary Shaman Circle, how this came to, like, if someone hears it, they're probably like, Vision Shamalama, what the world is that? She's like, what is she, Indian, Chinese, something? I don't know. Like, I'll break it down for you. So
break it down.
Yeah. So for me personally, like, I am a bit of a personal growth and development junkie myself. It's been about a decade now of me going from one transformational group coaching program, business coaching program, marketing program, one to another, to another, to another.
Mm-hmm.
Always looking for what's the next level for me to ascend to. I love it. I love having that ability to continue my own personal progress and improve my ability to take massive action, just get laser focused over time.
Yeah.
What I found,
this is how you execute with excellence, people. All right.
100%, 100%. Like I get help. I give somebody a money and they help me do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
They help me do it better, or they do it for me. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. And so with that, what I found for myself personally, before I started the Visionary Shaman Circle, is that being a creative,
mm-hmm.
to have, like, let's say, a prolific amount of ideas and a prolific amount of options to focus on, meaning, in shorthand, I'm scattered. I get a little bit of lack of focus, and it's hard to follow through. And what I found for myself personally was that over the course of being in group coaching programs, I would get like that positive fire hose of information.
Mhm.
And I lovingly refer to all of the value that my coaches deliver me, like Tony Robbins, like Fabian Fredrickson, like Russell Brunson, Regina Thomas Hour, all of the, Ingrid Arna, all the different coaches I've studied with. I lovingly refer to their information as big ass binders.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I would get overwhelmed. I was like, where do I start? Where do I start? And what I found helped me focus the most was actually taking that big ass binder from another transformational retreat or mastermind that I attended, and I would go to the spa with it, and I would
Mm.
meditate, and relax and clear my mind. And suddenly I was able to focus on taking one action out of the 100 million something in that big ass binder that I paid big ass money for. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But what would help me focus was to be able to calm myself down and clear my energy. And there's a
Mm.
very specific form of meditation that I would do that I learned from my own spiritual practice to help make all of that like overwhelming amount of information really focused down to what's the one thing that I need to do today. And the name of that specific form of meditation that I had learned is Shamanic Vision Journey Meditation. And so worked
Mm.
for me. That's what doubled, tripled, and quadrupled my business. That's what helped me go from just like a little Reiki master making some money on the side to like world toured 6-figure Reiki master. That was what helped me focus.
Shamanic vision journeying.
Yes.
All right. What? Okay. How were you even exposed to shamanic vision journeying?
Oh, this is a great question. Yeah. So before I committed to being an entrepreneur, my last position that I held working for somebody else was at a local nonprofit for spiritual development, social change, and social enrichment called Interweave. And there was a funny little old dude, John Ford, who would, and I loved sampling all the different events that we were putting on at the nonprofit. And this little old dude is doing something about shamalama ding dong, I'm like, that looks interesting. And like, I love meditation. I love relaxing. Let me try it. And let me tell you, once you try it, it's like potato chips. You just can't stop. Once I learned how to vision journey, it completely changed my life. I'm a very intuitive person naturally,
Yeah.
since a kid, but I never had control over it. This one practice gave me immediate control over my own ability to trust my gut as well as even hear it in the first place on demand. So that was where I found
So
that.
I'm just gonna. So I know that I'm putting my acting on to be like, oh, but actually it's not, because I am part of Victoria's Visionary Shaman Circle. So I just want to disclose that. So I know from the inside how amazing this method of meditation is, vision journeying. And honestly, like, the fact that it was like shamanic vision journey, I was kind of a little like about what it meant and what I was gonna do. Like, do you take any enhancements, drugs, juices, or whatever to like go into this? Can you explain? Because that's kind of what I felt initially when I thought about it. I'm like, whoa, this is, first of all, you don't expect to have these types of conversations about zoning in, but I think I really like what you mentioned in the beginning, which was inherently, as entrepreneurs, we are adrenaline junkies, right? We get a lot of information. We come out of these events and we're like, whoa, right? And then it's just too much. And then you have the like squirrel shiny object syndrome, situation. That combination makes it very difficult sometimes to actually get traction, right? We do a lot of things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we have traction when we're really moving forward. And so it made sense to me when you initially introduced this concept, and now how you're talking about how you ultimately discovered it, to say, okay, yeah, I totally get the value of this rest. And we had a couple people say, yay, spa and a binder, that's a great idea. But yeah, it seems like, oh, luxurious and like, oh, lucky you, whatever, you're not really doing any work or whatever. But from experience, wow, it is that traction, because you get to kind of let it settle in and then also figure out, like you said, what part of it is most important. Mm-hmm. So when you were talking about all that, that was very interesting to me when I was first exposed to vision journeying. But the whole shaman thing kind of like freaked me out. So answer my question after I asked it and didn't let you answer it. Are we using like hallucinogens and all that jazz?
No, absolutely. No. Sorry to let you down, because to this day, I get approached by people saying like, yeah, like I'm into shamanism. We could do ayahuasca, peyote, salvia. Yeah, man, let's. No. No, I am sexy, sober, successful, and spiritual. Like, and we'll throw a little sexuality in there too. Like, I believe that every single human being comes batteries included. Your brain and your pineal gland has all of the DMT that you could ever possibly need. And if you just learn how to tune into your own special supply, you know, they say you're not supposed to get high on your own supply, but honey, you come in with your own special.
Right? She said pineal, by the way. Yeah. Nerdy girl likes that.
Yeah. Yeah, oh my, I know you. I know just me, your button. So like, this is so important though, because a lot, like, it's getting more and more popular in like mindful entrepreneurial circles and masterminds to like take sacred herbs as a part of your transformational coaching experience. And there's been examples of people freaking dying and stuff, or throwing up or blasting off on the toilet and all types of stuff. Like, it's bad for your health to depend on chemicals in order to do it. So long story short, why the heck do I use the word shaman if we're not getting high? Like, can I hiss at cultural appropriation for like 2 seconds right
now?
Yeah,
exactly.
Cultural appropriation, right? Here in the West, we think that shamanism has to do with Native American or First Nations people. That's putting feathers in your head, booing, and it also has to do with getting high and doing yoga and sitting in like a sweat lodge, you know, frying your coochie. The answer is that is not what it means to be a shaman. In fact, let's go linguistic style. Let's go etymology for a second and understand where the word actually comes from. The word shaman actually doesn't even come from the Americas, period. It comes from Siberia, from the Siberian Tungus tribe. It is a First people in Siberia, and it is their native word for one who sees in the dark. That is what a shaman is. That's why I am on the shamanic path, is because I want to be one who sees in the dark whenever things are uncertain or difficult or confusing, right? Or can't, and no one else can see a way forward. I want to be the one who can see in the dark. That's why I call it the Visionary Shaman Circle, not because we're trying to appropriate other people's cultures or proscribe over different cultures. Like First Nations people in the Americas, this has nothing to do with that, although like we all as Americans have drops of our First Nations peoples and we're honoring all of their practices. We're not here to appropriate that. I need to calm down because I'm starting to feel like the fire coming out.
But I think that's important because of course, you know, I wouldn't want anybody to be blocked from understanding what it is that you do and how you help people do it and why you connected to this particular type of meditation, right? By being blinded by those things that actually made me feel a little like, right? So, you know, me feeling like, okay, I don't want to take anything, you know, I'm drug-free, not interested in adding anything to this this energy or vibe. I don't think the world could take it. But but also kind of the feeling of like, oh, how do I call myself a shaman? Like I really respect what that is to the indigenous people and such. But I find it super powerful that it is an intuitive practice that works. And I think of it as paying homage to that amazing and beautiful practice and integrating it into, you know, what we're doing every day. And it seems, is this something that is practiced in a non-business setting?
Usually, yes.
Mm.
Right. So this is the thing. Like, shamanic vision journey meditation is rarely, if at all, applied to business. And so seeing that gap is the reason why I created the Visionary Shaman Circle. I'm like, I don't understand why more CEOs, visionaries, and leaders don't have access to essentially a practice that is a very old form of leadership technology. It's self-leadership.
I mean, the shaman was the one to go to in the village when everything was like, ah!
Yeah.
It's like, okay, the shaman is that grounding center point. And in your business, especially as you grow and you have team members and such, it's so important to be that grounded individual to lead the direction. So it's interesting that you made that connection, because it makes sense. But today, people that that experience or utilize or practice, that's what I'm trying to say, a shamanic vision journeying, in most cases it's just for what reason? But what's
For more of like emotional healing. Some people use it for PTSD and trauma work. Other people use it to just explore their own spirituality, or the human potential and the limits of the mind and your imagination, your intuition.
Mhm.
It's more of like a personal enrichment or emotional healing tool in most of its usage currently.
Mhm.
But when it, like, from our ancestors, and like this is calling it shamanic vision journey meditation, that was codified by Michael Harner back in the 60s, 70s. He's an anthropologist, and he observed different tribal leadership doing the exact same
globally.
globally, unbeknownst to one another, like completely unbeknownst. And so when like, he's a white man, let me just say that. And so bringing it back and reporting it here in the West, he compared different cultures, one of them being the Siberian Tungus tribe, and he took their word in particular to convey there's this thing that tribal leaders are doing worldwide to help keep themselves and their people focused and alive. And it's called shamanic vision journey meditation. And so applying this self as well as group leadership technology, we could call it that, but it's with a meditation, applying that to ourselves as business owners, it really releases any caps on creative potential when you really start wielding this. It makes me think of, I was reading like a recent email by someone that I follow, Elliot Holst, and he was talking about the difference between taking action versus having a lot of activity. Action versus activity, right? When you take massive action, that gives you the ability to do something that is potent and moves the needle forward. Whereas as entrepreneurs, right, and leaders, we can have a lot of activity going on and feel really busy, going around.
Busy.
Yeah, nothing's moving forward.
Yep.
So what is the internal switch that can move us out of activity mode of just lying around to action of, like, I know exactly that the action that I'm taking is aligned with moving the needle forward. And the way that I approach that switch is with the shamanic vision journey meditation, and that's what we do in the Visionary Shaman Circle.
Wow. So what is that experience like? Are you able to describe what the
Sure.
process is?
Yeah. So I would have to say it is a lot of, at first, allowing yourself to imagine again. And the more that you get used to that, the more the imaginations or visualizations start to take on a life of their own. And it's kind of like having your own personal coaching team built inside of you. And you imagine yourself going to them and getting the exact targeted answers that only you can hear in only the way that you can receive them. If you tell somebody else that, like, the ostrich, stood on the rock and told you no while pointing at like a mushroom or something, somebody else would be like, you must be high. Are you sure they're not? Like, you sure you shouldn't put something in the air or like flashed lights at you that you must be hot? No. But for maybe you, like, that ostrich represented something in your business. And when it said no and pointed at the mushroom, that represented the person that was growing as a fungus in your background. And it said, so for you, you knew to cut that person out. Like, that was in your language in the way that you can receive it.
So it's kind of like dreaming. I mean, if anybody is listening right now, have you had dreams where you woke up and you're like, oh my gosh, I think, first of all, if you were to describe that dream, people would be like, what is going on, right? But what's interesting is that is acceptable, right? It's acceptable to say, okay, this was a dream, but there was an ostrich on a rock and he pointed it on, and he said, you know what I mean? And the ostrich's name was Ellen. Like, it's just like, and you're like, I don't know even how I know that. The ostrich didn't talk, right? But we experience that through dreams. And so if anybody's experienced those sorts of things, then please put it in the comments. If it's if it's the replay, do hashtag replay, but please share it, because we're gonna watch. But what you're describing and what I have experienced is similar to that, but all of a sudden it makes sense. I'm like in this space where I'm permitting myself, because I'm awake, I'm not asleep, right? So can you explain how we get into this meditative state?
Yeah. So for one, you learn how. Well, and then for two, it's kind of like a reverse birth experience where you visualize yourself going into an entry point to another world, going through a tunnel, the birth canal, so to speak, and then emerging in this alternate reality where everything there is conscious, speaks, and is there to help you, and that you cannot ever get hurt. And you're allowed to ask as many questions as you like, and you will receive answers, but you can't change what they say. It's like being in Alice in Wonderland.
I was going to say Alice in Wonderland. Well, now when I read Alice in Wonderland, I'm like, oh boy, somebody was in a shamanic journey.
Yeah.
It is totally, it's really interesting. Totally. So there is always this entry point, and the entry point is different.
For everybody. For absolutely everybody, their entry point into what we term shamanic reality is absolutely unique. And you know what's really great about this practice is that maybe some of the people that are watching right now are coaches or consultants, right? They're advisors in some way to others, maybe not just to their clients, but also to their friends and family. And if you ever have the experience at random of getting like downloads or hunches of like, oh, I should tell this person this.
Intuitive hunches.
Intuitive hunches. They're really powerful. And then I don't know if you've ever, or anyone watching may have had this experience where you didn't follow what you felt like your gut was really telling you to share, or didn't say what was coming through, or dropped in, or however you wanted to talk. Let's say what the download was, right? Our creative download. You'll be kicking yourself because it was like it was a hint coming from somewhere more conscious and aware of what's going on, and it's, oh, I wish I would have told that, or ooh, I wish I could have those more often. Wouldn't it be amazing if I could have those downloads, intuitive hunches, or gut feelings with clarity on demand?
Yeah.
What's great about shamanic vision journey meditation is that's what it does. You get your downloads, your innovations, right? Your creativity, your like insights and clarity on demand in your own way that you can receive it. But it's in this journey process.
Amazing. Amazing. If anybody has questions, of course, we have somebody said that they dreamt of one of their kids' names. Yes. So that's kind of the feel around it. It's like being able to tap into that. Imagine if you were able to receive that, and actually know that it's there's a translation, and I could imagine there's a portion of it that is really just processing things that subconsciously, right?
Mhm.
So to me, I would say it's probably two levels, right? I think there are folks that are able to download from an external, if you feel like there's another energetic kind of level and stage, right? And then for those that are not quite ready to accept that, there's still a lot of knowledge within us. It's just that all of that activity, adrenaline, and all of these things that entrepreneurs, and especially visionary entrepreneurs, right? Those who are just highly, highly creative and always thinking of a new idea, right? All of that energy is static,
Mhm.
right?
Very much so. And this is something that is biochemically based. So okay, like if it's not all about connecting with spirit and source and the angels and all this stuff, perfectly fine. Your brain needs blood flow. Okay, so when you're in a, let's say, sympathetic nervous state, the blood flow is drawn away from areas of the brain that are responsible for creative problem solving, rest, repair, and rejuvenation. So when you get to, if you are hooked up on an EEG meter to a certain brainwave called theta, that
Mhm.
blood flow returns to the parts of the brain that are responsible for rest, rejuvenation, creative problem solving, creative visualization.
Yes.
And to be able to have a process that generates that increase of blood flow throughout the body. Now, I'm saying this technically in a word, it's called being relaxed. We're coming back into all the brain science-liness. So, okay, so if you are able to get that blood flow, you would be thinking with more of your brain's potential, right? If
Right.
you're stressed and at the computer, like, ah, la, 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 like, or freaking out about the money, the kids, the spouse, the economy, your foot, whatever. What happens is that naturally your body goes into performance mode, right? Fight or flight. My coach right now, he always says, Victoria, it is really hard to take a dump while running from a tiger. It just shuts down. It just shuts down. So natural. That's why you got to calm your body down, and all the blood flow starts
Yeah.
to increase to parts that were low. You wonder why you're doing so much, right? Working so hard, and wonder why you can't figure out what's the right next step for you. It's
Mhm.
actually because the technology that you are using on yourself in order to create a state of creative problem solving sucks. You got to
Yeah.
update, or what rather, go back to a more ancient technology of having a holistic approach to calming and down regulating your body, your central nervous system, so that it increases blood flow. And when you are in that state doing the shamanic vision journey meditation, that switches you over to seeing, what do I need to know right now? What is the right next step for me? When you combine those two, the results are incredible. I've seen clients like you download their whole new brand. I've seen clients receive 5-figure payments for the first time in their careers. I've seen them close 5 figures in a day for the first time in their careers. I've seen spontaneous healings in the body. I'll never forget Isabel when we were during a journey circle, like her shoulders and hips just opened up suddenly because of the increase in blood flow, and there's so much healing in her because of, like, it's not just about the money, although we all are entrepreneurs, and when we are in a peak state, right, or in a good state, we produce more, but it can also have that holistic and healing effect as well.
Mhm. And that's what's really interesting about investing in something like this for business. By the way, the intention is for you to be in that state so you can be more effective as a visionary entrepreneur, right?
Mhm.
So it's a business expense. but it's amazing just being able to understand how integrating this sort of practice is absolutely a business methodology, and it leaks on over to your personal life, of course. But if you have to, and I think many of us, to be able to invest in something like this that helps us become more grounded, etc., we may have to. I know for me, I'll say for me, I had to justify it more as a business expense. I wouldn't be able to justify it in my head personal, even for as a personal expense, even though it does have personal ROI, right? But I think that's just how people think, right? So as an entrepreneur, it was like, whoa, okay, this seems pretty interesting to be able to not be it's not one of the traditional account types in your QuickBooks, right? Mindset, spirit, energy, any of that stuff. But because every single one of your engagements is really focused on linking it back to a business value, that's what's super duper intriguing. So tell me, first of all, I know for those of you that are listening, we have a lot more, but we have some amazing episode notes that you can access. So I'm just going to share that while we continue to talk. You can actually text using our technology, our Catchwords technology, which I'm a founder of. And by the way, Catchwords was a download to me during a shamanic journey, because it enables people to catch their interested audiences and connect, right? But anyway, if you want to learn more about Victoria and just be able to, because right now I'm sure you're just like, whoa, what is this? Obviously, you can listen to this again, but you could text RF for rocket fuel, RF-102, this episode to 411321 if you're in the United States. If you're international or a Sprint US user, for some reason Sprint is not happy with short codes, you could text RF-102 to 1-909-741-1321. I'm going to leave this here. You are going to get the episode notes, but you're also going to get an amazing gift that we're going to talk about that Victoria has dropped for us, which is super cool. But anyway, so who are the types of people that that connect with you, that you help?
Yeah. So like, oh my gosh, people like you, Wanda, because hello.
Hello.
In there, like the name of Catch came from a shamanic vision journey. Like, everyone, where is your Google level brand going to come from, right? Could you do that in a meditation? Right? So the types of people that I support are high level coaches, high performing coaches that are noticing that they can actually add the most value when they integrate their intuition with their coaching practice in any way, shape, and form. So whether it's and even if you're not a coach, like for leaders as well, when you lead and you welcome in what you're intuiting of, like, I'm getting a feeling that we need to have a round table about this, or, all right, my people need to hear what's the vision for the next step of the company. How the heck do I convey that to them in a way that is authentic to me and also will resonate with our team? Or if you're someone who, as you are in your coaching programs, your masterminds, and you're sensing more things coming up from others, and you want to be able to contribute and have more a sense of control over that coming up for you, this is the right program for you. Now, at the same time, this is not to replace coaching. I believe in coaching. I am not a coach. I am not a coach. I am not a coach. Everyone calls me one, but if you look through all of my certifications and all of my training and stuff like that, you won't find coaching. You'll find Reiki, and you'll find that certified to teach English as a foreign language and all different kinds of things like that, right? I've had plenty of other training, but I'm not a coach. This is meant to be the force that supports profound coaching that you are currently receiving. If you find that your current coaching program is lacking that mindset element that can help you focus and take things to the next level, but it has a ton of amazing technologies that, big ass binders, like I said, throwing them in left and right, and you're getting that kind of value, but you're having a hard time maybe following through with all of what's in that big ass binder, or you're feeling more insecure about it. You want to have a stable foundation, good energy to flow through with that. The Visionary Shaman Circle is really supportive for those type of individuals. Who this is not for is not for people who don't have a business yet, who have not had their first client or something like that. Although I have attracted a lot of people who are like, rah, rah, I want to have a business. And I love you, and I know I inspire you, and that's awesome. And this is not for you. This is not for you. This is also, I would recommend only for entrepreneurs and business owners, although I have had people who are leaders in corporate join and have processed through. But the thing is that we as a group of conscious creators and conscious business owners, when we feel really good, we can immediately have the wherewithal to make impact with that. Whereas within a corporation, there's all the red tape that you have to go through in order to really execute on that creative vision that you may have gotten. So this can end up frustrating visionary corporate leaders who have to push through all of the red tape to really share and execute on that creative vision that they've gotten. So this is best for visionary business owners and entrepreneurs who are established.
Right. And so from a personality type perspective, obviously I could describe myself, but I want you to describe the types of people, because there's kind of a commonality regarding our sensitivity to energy, really, and also our ability to influence things with our energy, right? I feel like all the folks in the room, in your masterminds, in your discussions, have acknowledged or recognized that they've had that sort of power or influence, but it didn't feel like they had control of it, or it had more control over them, right?
Yeah. So we are all definitely naturally intuitive. Like we all are come in with that natural intuition awareness. Another word that is popularly thrown around is called empathic. This is not being empathetic. Having empathy for somebody is a mental construct, a little mental acrobat you do. Have compassion for somebody else and actively choose to imagine what it's like to walk in their shoes. Whereas to be an empath or to be empathic is different. So you don't do any mental acrobatics and you don't choose. You just absorb. You just absorb what it's like being in other people's shoes, physically as well as emotionally. This is the case of a lot of us, like in the shaman circle, we're emotional sponges. And that can really put a damper on you being a high performing entrepreneur and coach, because like you're serving people and you want to and you care, but you're still absorbing all of this emotion, all of the pains in your body, like frustration, even some people refer to it as like negative energy. They're referring to, but everyone calls it differently because we all have our own unique language for this type of experience.
Right.
But it's basically like being an emotional sponge. But this is actually, and I've talked about this on my podcasts and things like that, and in the book, but more about that later. But this is actually, many people see as like, oh, I'm a highly sensitive individual, and they just stamp victim on their forehead.
Right.
And for me personally, my name is Victoria. So I don't go the whole victim. I'm like, no, I'm removing victim off my forehead for myself and on behalf of our community. And that this is not like some sort of psychosis or diagnosis of like you're screwed to be an empath and highly sensitive for the rest of your life. You can't eat any food. You can't talk to people. You can't sleep. All this. You can't have $1 million business because you're an empath. No, this is actually how you are uniquely positioned to be a profound communicator, right? Because you understand at a very deep level what's going on, all the things that are left unsaid. I believe this is actually, like if you want to refer to it as like a sixth sense for how we communicate.
Yes.
With one another as human animals. So the more that you learn how to wield the power of your sixth sense, rather than thinking like, oh, it's my handicap. No, that's your firepower.
Yeah.
You get the right training, and it can turn into something that completely eliminates all competition, all barriers around you.
I think that's super powerful in this shift of recognizing that it is not a handicap. It's a handicap when you don't know how to handle it. Well, just like when you think of X-Men and who's the character? Is it Jean Grey, who has like the energy? Yeah, you know what I mean? She gets angry. She doesn't know how to like control that energy, right? Yet it could be really powerful when she does have that training from Professor X.
Let me wheel up on my little like.
I know Victoria's like right, but that's the difference in feeling like why do I experience these things? Why when I have a bad sales call am I just like crushed? Why when I had a certain interaction with a team member is the rest of my day just wrecked? Right? I mean, these things are kryptonite from a business perspective. You can't do that, you know? And so that's the power of being able to recognize and have that shift and say, okay, this could actually be my superpower. I just really need to understand how to wield it, how to position it, how to ground that energy, all of these things that you teach within the Visionary Shaman Circle. So for anybody who's just hopping in right now, ooh, girlfriend, boyfriend, you need to rewind to the beginning because we're talking about unleashing your creative potential, especially if you're a visionary entrepreneur, using these powerful intuitive practices, specifically the shamanic vision journeying. And Victoria is the founder of the Visionary Shaman Circle. And I talked about this beautiful extra gift that you offered. So obviously if folks text RF -102, that's all together, to 411321 in the US, or there's an international number that I'll share, you're going to receive these episode show notes. Victoria actually shared some additional tips I ask in these show notes here. I'm going to show you. Ready? What boom. Okay. So there's lots of goodies in here. One of the things is we ask our experts to give us some rocket fuel, to give some advice that they typically only share with their paid clients. And ooh, look. Oh, no, you have to test. Right? So this is some really cool stuff, but I also ask if there is any special gift that they would like to add. And Sensei Victoria Whitfield, she dropped, I was printing this and literally my husband was like, "Are you printing a book?" Yeah, actually she dropped her book, and I guess because it's green, the green screen is picking it up. Thank you very much, darling.
Whole thing.
So tell me about this book.
Yeah. So in this book, like, this is okay, everything that we like, if you're at the point now having listened to our conversation thinking like, I'm curious but I'm terrified to talk to Victoria, this is like the everything that we talked about.
Don't be terrified. But
for beginners, you know, the thing that you can hide in your purse or hide behind the toilet of like, I'm going to learn about my intuition while no one else knows.
Right.
This, I break it down. This is Intuition 101, why we have it, why you're sensitive, what's the purpose of human sensitivity, and it's for that communication. I explain that in depth. It's full of exercises for awakening your intuitive connection, and also for grounding and clearing your energy. So if you're an emotional sponge and you're always absorbing off of your clients and your team, or even off technology, if you're like me, like, oh my gosh, like I get headaches from it, there are like, one of the largest chapter in here is all ways to clear your energy, and they are surprisingly simple. Like, they are like, I broke it down Barney style in the words of like, this is like, you could teach it to your kids, or your kids could like read this book and teach it to you. So
Yes. Amazing. And what a super generous gift. It was not what I was expecting. So thank you so much. And then also on one of the pages of your show notes, you're going to have a whole list of different ways that you can actually connect with Victoria, her personal email address. Thank you so much for sharing that, as well as if you just want to peek and be a voyeur and peep her out, you know. She gave you many options to to watch her and follow her, right? But I highly recommend it if any of this resonates with you. I mean, we only have a limited amount of time. Clearly, this is a whole area of expertise. But what's really, really intriguing is I think that this is a topic that not enough entrepreneurs really talk about. And if you find yourself actually feeling like you are being controlled by your energy, that you don't have control of your energy, that you're being controlled by that. Victoria is an amazing person to speak to about all of the aspects, right? It isn't just about vision journeying. That is the core. That's kind of like the anchor that brings the entire program together. But she is all about using a slew of intuitive practices. And that's why she wrote Natural Intuition Now, right? I mean, there's so much clearly in that. So I thank you so much, Victoria, for sharing that. That's amazing. What I also do want to invite folks to is on January 29th, Rocket Fuel is actually having a mastermind. We have very, very unique laser focused masterminds. Okay. It's just like we do interviews in a very unique style. Our masterminds are very unique. Pretty soon they will be closed sessions to members only, but I want you guys to get an opportunity to experience what a Rocket Fuel mastermind is. So I invite you to join us on January 29th from 3:30 to 5. And Victoria will actually be joining us too. Now on this particular mastermind, we're going to be talking about defining your next level. Our last mastermind with Brian Rassi, he is a financial guru, and he was answering questions and supporting people and figuring out how to actually finance and fund their next level. But there were a lot of people that said, next level? I have to think about that. What does that mean to me? So this particular mastermind is about figuring out how is it that we can define our next level, or sharing what that next level is, because sometimes you just need to verbalize it because it gives you some level of accountability, right? What's super cool about inviting Victoria to join us is this practice of kind of getting the static out and just grounding yourself is very, very important in really kind of thinking about how to define your next level. So Victoria's going to be there. She's going to kind of sprinkle a little Victoria magic and maybe help us focus a little bit better so that we can define that. So that is January 29th. 3:30 EST. If you join the Rocket Fuel community, if you're in there, you will see the Zoom link where you can be part of it. And it's going to be fantastic. And I'm super excited for Victoria to join us. So once again, today we were talking about unleashing your creative potential using some really amazing, sneaky deaky, powerful, intuitive practice. Yes. Oh, totally sneaky deaky. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I'm gonna take a peek at the comments. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love people talking about their dreams, etc. And please, if you catch this on the replay, put in #replay. But I will be checking in. Victoria will be checking in. We'd love to really hear about whether this resonated with you, if this is something new that you've heard of, if this is something that you've heard of before and was like, what's your feel about this? I think it's a very interesting topic. So I do encourage you guys to comment and check us out every Friday, because we are going to be getting down, rocking it with some major experts like Victoria every Friday, so we could understand what those resources are that are available to us. So I'm going to give you one last chance to text to receive our episode notes. Obviously, you're going to text, you're going to provide your email address. Don't forget that part. It's going to ask you for your email address if you have not texted one of our episode notes before, and it's going to send you a beautiful email with Victoria's gorgeous face and an attachment. And it's going to be that attachment of not only the show notes, but her book. So thank you so much. Victoria, are there any last comments, statements that you would like to make to our audience?
Yeah, for sure. So, a nugget from the show notes that only those who download it will get. This
Mm.
amazing word that changed my life, changed your life, changed our community's life. It's called catabasis.
Ooh.
And long story short, what does that mean? That means the big breakdown before the big breakthrough. So if you're going through something right now, like a challenge, or even the technology is getting like kind of wonky and things like that, it's super important to have the ability to become resilient on demand. And having this concept of catabasis, saying like, all right, I see that I'm going through a big breakdown before the big breakthrough, really creates momentum out of what could have been something that stopped you in your tracks. In fact,
Mm.
it can take a fall and turn it into a forward tumble and even an acceleration. So remember this word, and you'll read more about it. You probably weren't able to write it down because I said it so fast, but
There. Catabasis.
perfect. So that's the breakdown, the big breakdown before the big breakthrough. And it's so important to be resilient on demand as a visionary, right? Your people need you to maintain that forward momentum, to maintain that high performance. They depend upon you to be able to do that. You depend upon you. Your bank account does.
Mm-hmm.
So having this as a concept, and I go through it very deeply in the show notes. Check it out. But remember that if you're going through something, or even in the environment, something very mundane of like the tech, or like, is being wonky, or, like you're having issues with your dryer or travel or anything like that, just say to yourself, this is my big breakdown before my big breakthrough, and get excited for what's
Yes.
to happen.
I love that you actually clap and celebrate everything. And it's been amazing because I even use it with my team when something just went like, really, I'm like, guys, guess what? Something great must be coming because that was a big breakdown.
Yeah.
And that would be a big breakthrough. And it's amazing to be able to use that psychology to, I like how you said that instead of the stop, it's to actually like tumble through and like pop up like even better and actually be willing to receive that breakthrough, because sometimes we're so super in the dark that even when the breakthrough is coming to us, we can't see it.
Girl, better preach. All right.
Woo! Hence your shaman, one who sees in the dark. Woo! I didn't I didn't even plan that. Tied up like a bow. Well, thank you so much, Sensei Victoria Whitfield, the founder of the Visionary Shaman Circle, the world's first business Reiki master. Her website, naturalintuition.com. And obviously, if you text, you will be able to know how to contact her and all the juicy stuff she was talking about, catabasis, and the wonderful book that she dropped that she was just so generous to share. Mwah! Love it. Thank you so much. And goodbye to my Rocketeers. Woo, woo, woo. If you're not part of the Rocket Fuel community, please join us on Facebook, Rocket Fuel Community. And I hope I see you on the next Rocket Fuel Expert Spotlight. Have a good one.